Tonight, Egypt takes over Cameroun as host of the 2019 African Cup of Nations competition. Also in this edition of the news, farmers in Libya are lamenting over what they have so far qualified as agricultural or poor agricultural output. Also in this newscast, another lifeless body discovered in Bamenda, northwest region of the country. We shall be right back with the details. Stay with us. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Let's begin right away in sports football. The African Cup of Nations 2019 is going to be hosted by Egypt. The information emerged that was in Dakar, Senegal today during a press conference that was granted by the president of the Confederation of African Football. It's going to be the 5th time that Egypt is hosting this set African Sports Jamboree. Simanji Gabriel tells us more in the following report.
The North African nation, Egypt, will host the 2019 African Cup of Nations, which has had a lot of controversies after it was stripped off from Cameroon's hands last year. The information dropped this Tuesday in Dakar, Senegal, as CAF Executive Committee members prepare for the CAF Award 2018. According to CAF's president, Ahmad, the decision for Egypt to host the 2019 Cup of Nations was due to the engagement of the government, even though other aspects like sports, hotels, hospital and transport infrastructures all counted for the granting of the host right to Egypt. Egypt before now has hosted the tournament 4 times, with them hosting in 2006 and keeping the trophy. Egypt should be recalled as the most capped team in terms of the number of trophies clinched in African Cup of Nations history. The 2019 AFCON will run from June 15 to July 13, 2019. It will be the first time the tournament will be holding out of the usual January and February periods, and also the first time the competition will involve 24 teams participating.
That is Manjikan Gabriel, the reporting. We stay with news out of Cameroon. Activities that have returned to normalcy in Libreville, Gabon, after the tension yesterday, Monday, which was provoked by an attempted coup d'etat that later failed. Streets are now busy. Students went to school today amidst calm, and the state radio station that was held hostage is now functioning normally. Let's have the details with Innocent Aze.
Reports from Libreville, Gabon say government officials this Tuesday went inspecting the country's state radio, where security officers thwarted a coup attempt by army soldiers early Monday. The radio is back on air in usual tranquility, and phone lines restored as President Ali Bongo's government retained control after sporadic gunfire outside the radio station. Students in the capital Libreville have returned to school this Tuesday amid calm. Businesses have regained steam and the streets busy after the Monday incident, which rendered most of the beachside capital quiet. Government spokesman Guy Bertrand Mapango said 2 coup plotters were killed and 8 others arrested in the attempted coup. Arrested soldier Lieutenant Obiang Ondo Kelly said the army officers attempted the coup to restore democracy. The international community has condemned the coup attempt, including former colonial ruler France. African Union Commission Chairman Musa Faki Mahamat reaffirmed the AU's total rejection of all unconstitutional changes of power.
We now talk about enormous material damage that was recorded after a 70-seater bus was consumed by wild flames. The incident occurred on the Batsi Highway in the western region of Cameroon. The bus was leaving Bafoussam for Douala when it went into flames. Fortunately, no human life was endangered. Immaculate Fogwe has the details in the following report.
This 70-seater bus was leaving Bafoussam for Douala, but unfortunately, It was caught by flames along the Bati highway. I was alerted by a bike driver who asked me if I could not get the sound produced by my burst, and I told him no, and that my dashboard had not signaled any problem. I later on had to halt to look into the situation. It was then that I noticed that fire had ravaged my engine. I hurriedly alerted the passengers to step down from the bus, and we tried quenching the flames with sand, but to no avail. An eyewitness who was at the scene says,
because every time they get for
he thought the bus just halted to drop some passengers. But surprisingly, the driver immediately came out from the bus with most of the passengers. Some of the passengers were even reluctant to step down from the car, thinking it was just a joke. It was later on that the flames escalated, that the rest of the passengers rushed down from the car. The good thing about it is that no death was recorded, but enormous material damages was registered. A preliminary inquiry was later on carried out by elements of the Gendarmerie Brigade of Bati to establish the true cause of the accident.
And in Bamenda, precisely at the lower Atuaziri neighborhood in that part of the northwest region of Cameroon, a lifeless body of a man was discovered. Inhabitants of the neighborhood said that the victim was living at the carpenter's workshop until his death. Sumanjikan Gabriel completes that story.
Another dark day for the inhabitants of Lower Atuaziri quarters in Bamenda, northwest region of Cameroon. It was a carpenter's workshop that the lifeless body of a man was discovered. The man, though everyone knew him, lived without a family. According to the quarter head of Lower Atuaziri quarters in Bamenda,
this man, a person with me and he used to drink.
we used to drink together, and he always told us he is a retired worker, but never told us where he had worked. According to what I gathered, he was expelled from his village after it was alleged he killed his brother.
They expel you out of their village. Say, don't cause your brother for that.
When asked about the name of the late man, the quarter head tells us he personally called him Mudus man because he was a truant.
I don't get no name for you, I only call him Mudus man. Then the man will know to talk true.
The man many inhabitants of Lower Atuaziri say has been seeking refuge at the carpenter's workshop for years now. At press time, his lifeless body was still waiting for the arrival of the authorities before it could be removed.
And trade unionists and personnel representatives are now mapping out strategies to reduce the friction and conflict between employers and employees across the national territory. In Cameroon, employees have often taken to the streets over poor working conditions, low pay, and no salaries at all. This was the center of discussion during the meeting, which took place in the economic capital Douala today. Details with Babla Jonathan.
Strike and public demonstrations are recurrent in both public and private enterprises in Cameroon. Employer-employee conflicts often than not end up in the streets. According to experts, this is because of the absence of poor negotiations spearheaded by persons with little or no knowledge of employer-employee negotiations.
Nous manquons cruellement de négociateurs.
We lack negotiators. People will vindicate, but they don't know why they are doing so, and how to build a revendication file is another issue. The first problem in Cameroon is inadequate training. Personnel representatives are elected, but they do not master their responsibilities or assignments. Trade unions that are supposed to train personnel representatives have abandoned their duties.
Déclarés absents, moi je dirais même disqualifiés.
This is why these trade unionists and personnel representatives are being trained by national and international experts in Douala in view of enhancing social dialogue in enterprises and the respect of employer and employee responsibilities, duties, and rights.
All depends on dialogue. There's a text that is well precise that you have to negotiate with your employee, what you have to do, what you don't have to do. Having with our colleagues that are coming from France, Ren Orange, Syndicate from Orange, France, that are here to form us from Senegal to give us training how to manage in the enterprise concerning our work environment, concerning the syndicate, how to behave in an enterprise, to negotiate a contract, how all the contract that you have to do or with the employee have to behave in a company.
Les attentes, c'est d'être mieux outillés.
Participants expect to leave the two-day seminar well equipped to fight for their rights and the rights of fellow employees through social dialogue.
And royal women drawn from some 6 divisions making up the southwest region of Cameroon have been drilled on climate-smart agriculture. This is in a bid to foster the fight against climate change. David Maimo tells us more from Limbe Southwest region.
According to a document jointly published in 2007 by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and that Fishery, Livestock, Animal Industry, in recent years, food production in Cameroon did not follow the rapid demographic increase due to the effect of climate change as a major factor. The most affected groups of farmers by the climate change is the local farmers, especially rural women, whose family livelihood standard has greatly been affected due to low yield of farm produce, which they largely depend on for their livelihood. It is in this regard that this one-day workshop, bringing together some local women farming groups from the southwest region, took place in Limbe, with the objective to drill the women on the implementation of climate-smart agriculture.
How can they practice climate-smart agriculture, whereby they can be able to adapt to climate change, they can be able to identify the weather and know that changes are here, and identify the kind of seeds to plant.
Southwest being one of the food basket of Cameroon, with an all-year maize planting season in Diboncha, the planting of cassava, plantains, cocoyams, vegetables of various varieties, just to mention these few, is greatly threatened by climate change.
The women don't really know when to plant and what to plant. Some of the crops have disappeared, like the famous Igbo cocoa. We don't have it anymore. See, the effects of climate change is affecting the women. When the streams go dry, it is the women who have to go looking for water, go looking for food and all of this. You see, it has a big effect on the woman.
However, coordinating the over 500 women in the Southwest region under the canopy of the Southwest Women and Youth Agribusiness Net, SOAYEP-NET, is a huge task with the ongoing crisis.
If other people are making it in other regions, then why not Southwest?
Participants are urged to go out.
And one of the sectors most hit by the Anglophone crisis is the agricultural sector in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. It has practically been difficult for farmers to go about their activities normally. A reporter equally caught up with some women in Lebialem who say that farming is practically impossible as a result of the crisis. Let's hear them in the following excerpt.
So Ben Apolline, coming from Wabane in the Lebialem division.
Well, how is farming activity in the BLN division with the ongoing crisis?
With the ongoing crisis, as you know, many things, it has affected many things, as you know. Generally, the farming over there in Wabane has eventually come to a stop. Crops that we planted were unable to weed it because of the ongoing crisis. The ones which were to be harvested were abandoned in the farms. The few who were able to harvest had no market to take the food to. We have a lot of plantain, cocoyam, bananas. They are getting ripe and getting rotten over there because most of the farmers have escaped to seek for refuge in the nearby towns.
My name is Sakin Florence. I'm from Wabane in Lebialem division. You know, because of this crisis, it has really disturbed us a lot. We left many things that we were supposed to do undone. We didn't know, we were never expecting such a thing to happen. As it happened, we have to abandon our farms. Some of our relatives stayed in the bushes, faced many difficulties because of this. But we are praying, or we are thinking that one day things will be fine and we will go back, because we never wanted to escape. We will just give thanks to God, because God is taking care of us.
The difficulties of some farmers in Libialem Southwest region of Cameroon. Now, President Paul Biya's new government for the current 7-year mandate, which has been qualified as that of greater opportunities, is one day in office, but observers have said that the challenges awaiting them are enormous. They are taking over at the time when the country is undergoing crisis like that which was mentioned by those women just few minutes ago. Umfomi Armstrong Sanda in the following report is going to be taking a look at the challenges ahead of the new government. His report.
Paul Biya's first new government for his 7 years mandate of greater opportunities has taken off following the installation ceremony of Monday, January 7, 2019. The Prime Minister head of government, described by his supporters as the square peg in a square hole, will have as one of his major challenges the Anglophone crisis paralyzing the northwest and southwest regions of the country, including his native Bobongo village in the Kondo Titi subdivision. Narcisse Mwelekombi is installed as sports minister at a time when relations between the ministry and the football governing body, FECAFOOT, have not been good, leaving Cameroonian football on a regressive scale. He will have to ensure the completion of projects for the African Cup of Nations, which Cameroon hopes to organize in future. Narcisse Mwelekombi will also have the daunting task of developing youth football, ensure transparency at the level of various sports federations, and ameliorate sporting infrastructure across the country. The architect behind the transformation of the municipality of Bangante in the West region now has the huge task to reproduce her master plan on the wider scale through the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development.
I will do all my best, His Excellency, to make our country sustainable, developed country through your vision.
Experts say the high traffic congestion, flooding, inundation and contesting demolition exercises witnessed in towns and cities across Cameroon stem from the absence of a town planning system. Isach Roma Bakari, now former Minister of Communication, becomes the boss of employment and vocational training at a time when unemployment in Cameroon stands at 6.2%, according to the National Employment Fund, though disputed by other sources. Critics say the training offered young Cameroonians do not match with the skills demanded by today's job market. As part of the 7 years greater opportunities, Isach Roma Bakari should provide employment opportunities for thousands of jobless Cameroonians, some of whom are either domestic slaves in the Middle East, trapped as illegal migrants across the Mediterranean Sea, or instrumentalized as terrorists by such organizations. Ibrahim Tabamala will have to rewrite the story of the Ministry of Public Contracts, currently classified as the most corrupt following the 2017 report of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, CONACT. Perhaps the paradoxical suffering of local mining communities will change under the leadership of Minister Dodo Ndonke Gabriel, the new boss of Mines, Industries and Technological Development. Laurent Sech Etonengwa of Basic Education, who is also an old new minister like Jacques Famendongo of Higher Education, will have to devise a formula for schools to resume in the northwest and southwest regions after over 2 years of unwanted vacation. The installation ceremony is over. Paul Biya has chosen his team for a mandate he qualifies as that of greater opportunities, even at a time when Cameroon's pride as an island of peace in Africa is fast fading away.
Thank you so much for me, Armstrong Sanda, for the report there, bringing us to the end of this first segment of the news. Up next is Talking Point. We shall be right back. Once more, good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to you, Mr. Julius Gamboga. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good evening. It's a pleasure being here with you.
Besides being an educationist, you are CEO of Destiny Group. You are coming up with this initiative to make IDP self-reliant and financially independent. It's going to be a one-week event to begin on the 21st of January 2019. Why do you actually think that it's important to reinforce the capacities of IDPs in Cameroon?
You see, our educational system in Cameroon is not well tailored or designed to meet the needs of the society. Like when I listen to excerpts from the news, there is the complaint that the ministers have to do everything to create jobs for other people. And it is through this means, when workers are complaining that they are not being well paid, we want to use this opportunity to train people to be able to create jobs and employ other people. What you expect somebody to pay you, create the opportunity, pay yourself, and you pay other people. The issue of the IDPs, the government is talking so much of reintegration. And we know that one of these reasons is because of economic hardship. Even those of them who have escaped and they are living in the town, they are not fully economically integrated into the society. And through a program of this nature, we teach them to produce cosmetics, basic consumable and non-consumable goods that they don't need to go out and buy. They will do it and they will also sell and make their livelihood.
You must have been coming closer, or you must have met a good number of some of these IDPs, which probably inspired you to come up with such an initiative. Tell us about the situation, the economic situation, to be more precise, of IDPs in the economic capital, Douala.
Really, their situations, it is so deplorable. When we decided to sacrifice to go into such a venture in order to reintegrate them, I believe that it's a laudable project that we all need to put our hands on deck and we see how we can support these people. You see, with little finance, we empower the people. The first batch that we had training session with them last month, they are already into production. Most often people believe that when we talk of company, it is the use of machines and so on and so forth. But we train you to be able to use your own family and you set up an industry for yourself. Now, during this training, we have tailored programs that the people can easily use and they live their lives in the society, like the production of glycerin, body milk, lotion, perfume, chocolate, milk, wood varnish, soap, the normal savon that you see in the market. It is easily produced. You see, with education, a normal child who has done chemistry forms 1, 2, and 3 should know what is caustic soda and should know that you can use this one to produce savon. You can use this one to produce this. But our educational system is tailored only to teach you to speak the English
and
or
probably
to do
pass
something
the examination.
and pass the examination. Yeah. But you cannot convert it to help yourself.
One of the reasons why many educationists have been clamoring for a reform of our educational system.
That is one of the reasons, and good thing I am part of the educationist too, because I am a person of the field. When we talk of Destiny Group, it is because we run a group of schools. Before we felt it that if God is blessing us, let us bless other people by creating an empowerment center. We empower people. Cameroonians are living with the potentials in them. We have the resources. It only needs somebody to come and let us have the confidence and know that we are capable of doing all these things.
Tell us about your targeted participants. Is it IDPs only in Douala, or you're ready to receive IDPs from all over Cameroon?
No, when we talk of IDPs, those who are here in Douala, people are calling already from Yaoundé, from Kumba, from Bamenda. Now, when they call, we give them the date, we give them the program, because we cannot tell another program to go and meet them there. When we even talk of IDPs, there are people who are living here. Their situations are worse than the situations of the IDPs. And so it is a public workshop, so that any person who feels to be economically empowered, so that you can be a light, wherever you are living, so that you can live your life, you exploit the potentials that God has given to you. We are inviting everybody, both the Anglophones and Francophones. They are our targets during this workshop. Our problem is to empower people, so we don't discriminate, we don't have any boundaries.
What is your long-term objective? Let us be more precise with the situation of IDPs. What is your long-term objective? Because we know about the situation of IDPs, like earlier indicated, most of them are not financially or economically viable. Their living condition is very, very precarious to some, especially those that have left their homes in the northwest and the southwest regions as a result of the crisis. Yes. Tell us your long-term objective. What do you want to achieve in the long run?
Really, the first achievement that we want to have is fulfillment. You know, there is joy when you are moving around and you discover that somebody is living the life. Somebody can put bread on the table because you are the one who made that person to be that. We want to make people to live independent life than depending on people throughout, because they have the potentials, they have the means, they have everything it takes to live an independent life. It is only because somebody has not made them to know that if you transform this, it will give you this. If you transform this, it will give you this. Look at small boys, the people that we trained last year. I heard one mama called me yesterday and told me that I'm going now already to start a company in Limbe. Another one is starting a company in Bamenda. But when you look at the capital, with a capital of 100,000, I'm telling you, you can do something big. The first workshop, we were able to train the people on the production of 28 different goods. And those children, they are out there, they are producing, and the products are in the market. So they don't need to depend on anybody.
It's here in the economic capital on the 21st of January 2019 at the venue is in Daido.
It is Bepanda Omnisport Maison de Jeunesse.
Thank you so much, Mr. Julius Gambobga, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. To our viewers, it was equally a pleasure having with us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Wishing you a blessed day in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.